All right, I would like to officially welcome you guys to Psychology of Play. My name is Natika Jackson, and I'm one of the instructors for the course. Couple quick fun facts about myself. My family originates from the island of Antigua, so I am a part of the first generation of my family to be born in the U.S., but both sides of my family, my mom's side and my dad's side, come from Antigua. I have been ziplining in the forest, or in a rainforest, I should say, which is very fun and very scary at the same time. I have a weird kind of sort of fear of heights. And then boxing. I am a huge boxing fan. I could talk boxing all day long. So if you want to gain some brownie points with me, just talk about boxing. Not into MMA. Can't get into that for whatever reasons, but I am a huge boxing fan. Hopefully you guys have gone on to the community discussion boards and posted your own individual introductions to your peers so that you guys get to know each other. In the online environment, sometimes it's a little tricky getting to know people and building those relationships, so it does take some effort. So please, if you have not done so already, when the session is over, log on to the LMS, go to your community discussion board and post an introduction, and then also respond and interact with some of your peers who already post their introductions on there. It will be worth it in the end when you have relationships with future industry leaders. All right, a little bit about the GoTo training panel. I'm assuming that most of you guys have attended a GoTo training session before, but just a couple things that I want to point out. There is a function of raising your hand. You see the P that's pointing to that hand. You guys can raise your hand during these sessions. We do encourage interaction and engagement in all of our sessions. There's going to be some sort of activity where we're seeking your interaction and your input. So please don't be shy. Then you also see the letter T pointing to the chat box. There is a chat box. We again encourage you guys to talk to one another, to add your input throughout the session, directed to the facilitators. But engagement, talking, interacting is very key during these sessions. You also have the ability to send your messages in the chat box to a private individual. So if you want to just send a message directly to the organizers or to a specific instructor, you can do that as well. Or even if you have a peer that you want to have a private message with in the chat box, you can do that as well. So that is my quick overview of the GoTo training session. Before I jump into our objectives, does anyone have any general questions? At the end of the session, we're going to go over the week 1 project. So save any questions about the project towards the end, but any general questions about the course? I don't see any hands up. Don't see any questions in the chat box, so I'm going to assume that we're good. If you have any questions as we go through the session, just jump on in and let me know, and we'll answer them for you. All right, Eric's good, Joseph's good, Natalie's good, Marlene is good. All right, cool. All right, so our objectives for our first session is we are going to define the concept of play. We're also going to discuss the benefits of play. We're going to review the 8 play personalities, and we're also going to explore how we can increase play in our lives. So generally, play has been associated as something only for children. Society tells us that adults either don't play or adults should not be playing because adults need to be serious because there are adult responsibilities that must be met. But this class is all about discovering why this is false and really taking a look at what the latest research really says about the benefits of play and the lives of adults. All right, so before we jump into our first concept, I have a question for you guys. So how did you guys feel about having to take a class about play? And you can give your response in the chat box. How did you feel about having to take a class about play? You can be completely honest. We will not hold it against you in any way. So you can give your real honest assessment and opinion. All right, Natalie says excited. Anthony says love it. Eric said he felt like a child again. Javier was indifferent. Joseph says it's the best thing he found out in his life. Okay. Intrigued, but really didn't know what it was about. Confused, didn't really think about it. I'm a big kid, so I was really into it. 33 years old, I still love to play games. Feel like my constant frustration as a child is finally a wish being granted. Conflicted. All right. Generally, most students would come into the class, and when I kind of ask this question, half the class will say, oh, this is pretty exciting. This is cool. I'm really interested in learning about this. The other half of the class will say, I am confused. I do not understand. Why am I taking this class? What does this class have to do with my degree program? Sometimes they'll think it's a class about theater plays. And they're just completely don't know what's going on and why this is something that they are even having to take in the first place. And however you approach the class, whatever your initial reaction was, it is okay. But I hope to give you some clarification on why you are taking a class on the topic of play. Most of you can think back to your lives and make a connection between the degree program that you're in and something that you did as play at some point in your life. You guys are on a journey where you are creating hopefully play and leisure for society. And so we think that it's important for you guys to take some time to consider how play has impacted your life and the career path that you're currently on, but then also to consider what the latest findings are, because you will be creating play and leisure for society. And sometimes that is often overlooked as an essential career field. So imagine a world with no music, no art, no dance, no theater, no film, no digital media. That would be a very depressed world. So we think it's important, because you are on this very important journey towards creating play and leisure for society, that you have some foundational knowledge of what the latest research is on the term in regards to play, especially in the lives of adults. This class isn't, so much about childhood play, but about the importance of play in the lives of adults. And so that's why you're taking a class on the topic of play. Number one, play had a lot to do with why you are on the degree path that you are on. And number two, you are about to create play and leisure for society. And so it's just important to get just a basic foundational knowledge of what the latest research is, and to examine how this topic can continue to have a positive impact on your life moving forward. So that is why you guys are taking a class on the topic of play. Hopefully that provides some clarification for you guys. So the first thing, if we're going to take a class on play, we have to have a definition of play. So we all have a working definition of what play looks like. If we see play, we know, hey, that is play. But most people don't take the time to come up with a formal definition of what play is. There's two psychologists, Stuart Brown and Richard Vaughan, who have done a ton of research on the topic of play and give us a working definition, or the qualities of play. So we're going to watch a quick video on the qualities of play. This is a video from your week 1 read and view. So if you've watched this already, then it's going to be a review for you. Hopefully you guys don't hear my little baby in the background, but I'm about to play the video for you. Uh-oh, gotta turn on the volume first. See? Kids are fun. All right, here's the video.
The qualities of play. Apparently purposeless. This is what sets play apart from other activities that are more goal-directed. When we are playing, we are not trying to gain anything, nor does it have practical value. We play for the sake of playing. Voluntary. We have a choice of what we want to do, and play is done because we want to, not because we have to. When we play, we are voluntarily doing so. Inherent attraction. We play because it's fun. We feel naturally drawn to the activity. We may not be able to specifically describe or explain what draws us to the activity, but the connection we feel is inborn. Freedom from time. When we are fully engaged in play, we lose all sense of time. We're not thinking about what we have to do next, we are just enjoying the moment. Time flies when you're having fun rings true. Diminished consciousness of self. Similar to losing track of time, some activities are so enthralling that we lose track of ourselves for a brief period. We're not worried about whether we look good or awkward, smart or silly. We're not worried what others think of us or what it looks like to them. All those worries go away and we're just enjoying ourselves. Improvisational potential. We aren't locked into a rigid way of doing things. We could be engaged in something totally different when new behaviors and ideas come to light. This process allows us to improvise and make changes to the activity on the fly. Continuation desire. When we are in true play, we have the desire to keep doing it, and the pleasure of the experience drives that desire. We don't want it to end, and we will find ways at times to keep it going.
All right, so those are the 7 qualities of play. In your week 1 assignment, one of the things that you're going to get an opportunity to do is to take a closer look at the qualities of play. In the week 1 discussion board, you'll also have the chance to give your own personal definition of what you think play is and what it normally looks like. But just as a quick review again, we have voluntary, you do it because you want to do it. Apparently purposeless, you do it just for the sake of doing it. Inherent attraction, something within you draws you to do it. You have freedom from time. You have so much fun, you lose track of time. Diminished consciousness of self. There's a sense of lost of your own self-concept, I should say. There's a chance or an opportunity for you to improv or to become something else. And then you want to actually do it. Most people, when they go through the qualities of play, there are certain qualities of play that kind of resonate with them. When they think of what play and leisure looks like in their life as an adult, there are certain qualities that normally resonate. And part of your week 2 assignment is you will be making a connection with what your life looks like today and the play personality, or I'm sorry, the qualities of play that have a strong connection to what play looks like in your life today. One thing to really point out, I know I kind of already mentioned it, is that although in week 1 we do ask you to somewhat reflect on what play looked like in your life as a child, this class is really about what your idea of play is today as an adult. And this idea of completing a review of what play has looked like from childhood up until adulthood is actually called a play history. So the formal definition of a play history is a careful review of the role of play in childhood and adulthood. And the primary purpose of completing a play history is to hopefully get back in touch with the joy that we've all experienced at some point in our lives. The thought is, if you can reconnect with that joy from the past, you're on the right track to either recreating or enhancing it in the present. As you guys go through your week 1 read and view, there are going to be some questions down towards the bottom of the read and view. These are optional. It's not an assignment, but they are some of the questions that's presented by Stuart Brown in terms of getting you to start to think about your play history and really reflecting on how play has been a part of your life and how it impacted your life. When we think about playing as an adult, which is what the class is really about, play personalities come to mind. So in this class, we're never going to say that this is what play should look like in your life, and this is what you should be doing, and you should be playing 30 minutes a day. This class is very personal. It's very self-reflective. We will be presenting concepts, but the concepts don't matter unless you actually apply them to your own individual personal life. So there are 8 play personalities, which are typically different ways of categorizing how people play. And so we're going to go over those. So we have the joker, the kinesthetic, the explorer, the competitor, the director, collector, artist creator, and the storyteller. So these are the primary 8 categories of how people generally play, or what they find to be fun and leisure. So before we go over the 8 play personalities, I want to play a little game to see how well you guys kind of know this content already. So at the top of the slide, we have the 8 play personalities. And then at the bottom, we have words or phrases that are associated with one of the play personalities at the top. So I want to see if we can match them in a very lovely, fun matching game to see how well you guys know these stuff. So you can give your response or your suggestion in the chat box. Or if I have any brave individuals, you can raise your hand and I can unmute you. But again, you're going to be matching the word or phrase at the bottom to the play personality that you think it is associated with at the top. So I'll give you guys a couple seconds to look at it. All right, Joseph says entertain for Joker. Thank you for jumping in, Joseph. I love it. All right, what else we got? Damien agrees. Joker with entertain. All right, Maurice, you have your hand up. I'm going to unmute you. All right, Maurice, are you there?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm gonna pick the artist and creator to be New Worlds.
All right. Let me see if it'll let me move it. All right, cool. Any other you want to do?
Um,
Or if that's it,
the,
that's good.
the second one, can that I
Kinestet.
yeah, Kinestet. Based on what you got, I'm gonna put gestures for that one.
Okay, cool. All right. Thank you very much, sir. I got another hand up. Thanks, Maurice.
No problem.
All right, Natalie, I see your hand up. And then I think Stanley, you're after Natalie. And then I'll get back to the chat box. All right, Natalie, are you there?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi there. All right. Curious definitely makes me think of, oh boy, I got it.
And if it's one that
Curious
another student has already picked, it's
Explorer. I
Explorer.
want to say Explorer.
Okay,
That's what I
cool.
think of. And then I think Control is definitely the director.
All right. I saw a couple of those in the chat box as well. Thank you very much, Natalie. All right, Stanley. All right. Are you there, Stanley? Well, I think your mic is muted on your end, Stanley.
Hello?
Okay, we can hear you.
Okay, for good evening everyone. I would say beauty collector
Beauty collector. Okay.
and score is competitor.
All right. Let me see. Come on, let me move you. All right. Thank you very much, Stanley.
You're welcome.
All right. So let me look in the chat box now. And I'm kind of going backwards. I know some of you guys responded, but I'm looking at the chat box backwards. So Marlena says objects with collector. Matthew says beauty with storyteller. Well, that's what's left here. Anthony vetoes that and says New World with storyteller. I love that so many of you guys are participating. The chat box is going by very fast, so I can't keep up with all of it, but I'm trying to see. All right, I see another storyteller with New World. Okay. Some people are saying New World with Explorer. For the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and reveal the correct answers. But I like what you guys are doing. I like the connections that you guys are making because I feel like you guys are technically on the right track. But let me just give you guys the correct answers so that we can get out of here on time. And then, of course, we'll go over all of them. So you'll see why these different things were paired together. And these are our correct answers. So you guys did very good. All right, so let's go over the 8 and see why they are. And as I'm going over the play personalities, start to think about which ones kind of resonate with you. And when you think of what play and leisure looks like in your life, what makes sense for you or what resonates with you. So first up, we have the Joker. So the Joker finds humor in, most situations in life. They love to entertain people, and that's why they were paired with entertain. They love to make other people laugh. Sometimes on the more extreme end, you might see this person as the class clown or the practical joker, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if you have this play personality, that this is definitely a negative thing. There are extremes for all things. There's a spectrum for all play personalities. But for the Joker, what feels like play, what feels like fun for them is normally entertaining people in some sort of way, and laughter is a huge part of that. Then we have the kinesthetic. So the kinesthetic is a person whose pleasure, whose joy really comes from physical activity. So this could be athletics, it could be dancing, it can be exercising, but they love to move, and gestures can be associated with that. So for the kinesthetic, play equals movement. Next up, we have the explorer. So the explorer is curious. This is why they were paired with the word curious. But they're curious about the world and they love the adventures of exploring it. So this can be either the physical world where they're actually physically going out and exploring, but it can also be the intellectual world. They love new ideas and they're often exploring for new and interesting locales or new and interesting information or concepts. What is fun for them is really exploring the unknown. Then we have the competitor. There's a very dangerous scene occurring here in this slide. With the competitor, they like to play games. They like to win. These games can be athletics. It can be video games. It can be something like the stock market. But they like to keep score and they enjoy challenges. And, for them, winning and being competitive is what is fun. It's not necessarily the particular activity, but for them, it's the competition. And sometimes you will see a lot of the competitors in the business world. You can see, it's not set in stone that if you're in the business world, you're also a competitor, but this play personality kind of lends towards that lifestyle. Then we have the director. So the director gets their joy, their pleasure from running things, directing others. This might be a company, it could be a party or an event, it could be a movie, it could be leading a country, but there is a certain amount of fun and pleasure from having a sense of control. Again, with the director, there are extremes. It's a spectrum. So there are, kind of a negative end of the spectrum with this play personality where you can be somewhat of a control freak, but it does not mean that that is what you are if you have this play personality. I am a director. I love event planning and that sort of thing. So that really does lend to my play personality. Joseph says, no one wants to play games with me because I play to win instead of just for fun. So you are definitely a competitor. But that is okay. There are no bad play personalities. All right, so then we have the collector. So the collector likes collecting things for fun, and sometimes they can turn their fun, playful collecting into profit. But they're always looking for objects or even experiences to add to their collection. their constant goal is really obtaining the newest and the best thing to add to whatever their collection is. And then we have the artist creator. So the artist creator, they admire beauty and they can create it in many forms. It can be art, it can be photography, it can be music, design, writing. But for the artist creator, they really love making and fixing things, and they look for inspiration everywhere. The artist creator has the ability to find beauty in things that the normal, typical, other play personalities aren't able to see. So the artist creator is paired with beauty because they can really see beauty in all types of things that may normally be overlooked. And then lastly, we have the storyteller. So the storyteller loves to create stories for the pleasures of others. So this could include books, movies, music, performances. But for them, what feels like fun, what feels like play, is this idea of creating new worlds through their art or through their storytelling. And they're really inspired by interesting and original narratives. So it is all about just creating this world through their narratives. And that is the storyteller. So as we go through the play personalities, what play personality do you feel like is your dominant play personality? Keep in mind, you can have more than one. And there's students who say that I'm a little bit of all 8 play personalities, and that's okay as well. Again, this is not set in stone 2 + 2 = 4 type of content. But so you're normally going to have 2 dominant play personalities that you typically will lean towards. But there is a possibility that depending on the situation or depending on who you are with or the environment, your play personality can fluctuate. So when you think about it, what play personalities do you think you resonate with? Again, we have the storyteller, artist creator, and you can just leave your comment in the chat box. Collector, director, competitor, explorer, kinesthetic, and the joker. So artist creator, I see a lot of artist creators. Storyteller, Stan is an explorer. Anthony feels like he's all of them, but mostly artist and storyteller. Part of your week 1 assignment is that you're going to have a chance to give some more thought, do some more self-reflection around your play personalities. You're going to identify what you feel to be your 2 dominant play personalities and make a connection between that concept and how it's reflected in your life today. Eric says, I feel like each personality comes out according to the situation. And that is really true. A lot of the research behind this does support that normally we do have a dominant 1 or 2, but there are lots of individuals who, just depending on the situation, a different play personality will come about. And it really does kind of lend to this idea that you are able to interact and build some sort of connection or get it along with a variety of people. And most students who say, like, I can see all the play personalities within myself, a lot of them will say that. Like, I can get along with anybody. I can get along in any situation. All right, so now to the research. So the very cool thing about this concept of play, and again, when we're saying play, we're talking about play in the lives of adults. Over the last 20 years or so, there's been a ton of research that's been done to support this idea that there are some positive benefits of adults really taking the time to consider how play is a part of their life, or is it something that they need to improve on, that sort of thing. And what the research says is that there are very valuable benefits. The first thing is that play increases happiness. So adults who make a conscious effort to include more play and leisure into their lives, they tend to be more happier. Why does that matter? Because people who are happier tend to be more successful in the long term. Play as adults also elevates productivity and innovation. In the careers that you guys are going to be exploring, innovation, creativity is Huge. And so if there's anything that you can do to help set yourself apart from anybody else who's pursuing those same career fields, it's important to take a look at that. It also connects us to others. Regardless of the career field that you are in, you have to kind of get along and work with other people, and play can really be a connecting factor in doing that. And then it also promotes creativity, flexibility, and learning. Again, important in any career field, but especially in the career fields that you guys are going into, you need to be not only working on your technical skills, but exploring how can I, as a creative, just really explore ways in which I can step into a room and create on demand. And so incorporating more play and more leisure into your life has really been shown to have positive impacts in those areas. The good thing is that the research also indicates that a little bit of play goes a long way. Sometimes some of the resistance that we'll hear in this class is, okay, lady, I hear what you're saying. This sounds like good stuff, but I'm an adult and I do not have time to sit around and play all day so that I can increase my creativity. I'm just going to work on my technical skills, and hopefully that's enough. But the research is not suggesting that you have to sit outside. Well, they're not that detailed, Natalie. They don't quite get that far, but sometimes there is resistance to some of this content, and that's okay. That's okay. Um, but the research does say that a little bit does go a long way. Nowhere are we suggesting, or does the research suggest that you have to be out playing 30 minutes a day. It's about balance. It's about balancing your priorities with also making time for play and leisure, just doing things that you have fun doing. One of the things that Stuart Brown says about play is that it's all around us, yet it goes mostly unnoticed or unappreciated until it's missing. Brown explains that the opposite of play is not work. And so sometimes that is the hurdle that people have to overcome. They feel that the opposite of play is work. And so the reason they're not playing is because I'm out here busy working. But the opposite of play is not work. I want to send a poll to you guys and see if you guys can guess what the opposite of play is. So just answer on the poll of itself. What do you guys think the opposite of play is? All right, we got 59% of you who have voted. We're at 65%. The polls are anonymous. I don't see how you vote, so just go with your gut reaction. The opposite of play is... All right, we're at 76%. 82% have voted. 88%. I'll give you guys a couple more seconds. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. Let's see what you guys say. So 19% say the opposite of play is depression. 38% say the opposite of play is boredom. 44% still believe the opposite of play is work. Even though we just said in the previous slide, it is not. All right, let's see what, according to Stuart Brown, the opposite of play is not work, it is depression. So the reason he says this, remember at the beginning of the session where I was asking you guys, when we were talking about why are you guys taking a class on the topic of play? And I asked you to imagine a world where there was no art, no music, no drama, no digital media, no businesses to support any of these things. That sounds like a very depressed world or a very depressed way of living if there are no activities that really support this idea of play and leisure. So according to Stuart Brown, the opposite of play is not work, it's actually depression. So we're going to kind of look at some of the suggestions that he makes on how you can evaluate this area of your life. It's also important to, again, really point out that everybody's play is different. We are, again, not going to be suggesting that you have to do this specific thing or that you have to play in this specific way. This is really about self-reflection and kind of taking in these concepts and seeing how they apply to your personal life. And if you determine that there is a need for you to reconnect with play, again, we kind of briefly looked at some of the research. As you go through your reading for your week 1 read in view, there'll be an article in there that goes into a lot more detail about the benefits of play for adults. And hopefully after reading that article, you can make that connection that this idea of incorporating play into my life really does matter for me because I hope to be successful in my actual career. So if you can look at this area and say, hey, maybe I need to look at this, maybe I need to reconnect with play, there are some suggestions that are made on how you can go about doing that. The first one is changing how you think about play. I think it's really interesting, and if this is you and I'm talking about you, please don't feel embarrassed because it happens every month. But every month when I put the poll up and I say, the opposite of play is blank, even though we just had a slide before we put up the poll that says the opposite of play is not work, there are always students who still choose the opposite of play of being work. And I think that really speaks to the idea that it's so ingrained in us that the opposite of play is work. The reason you're not having fun, the reason you're not incorporating play into your life is because you're busy being an adult. While I get that, we do have adult responsibilities, but there does need to be some shift in how you think about play. You kind of have to get rid of that guilt or that feeling that you're wasting your time and really consider the fact that play is really helping or will help in all aspects of your life. Again, not at the expense of your responsibilities. You should not be dropping your responsibilities, but incorporating something fun into your life every now and then, just because you want to do it, has been shown to positively impact your long-term success. Take a play history. So part of your week 1 assignment is that you will be exploring this idea of a play history. And part of the questions that we include in the week 1 read in view will really help you to start considering your play history. But really think back. So what activities did you enjoy? How did you feel when you engage in these types of activities? How can you reconnect with those emotions and recreate those activities today? And then even if you are at a place where you feel, I'm pretty good, I think I incorporate enough play into my life, taking a play history will only help to enhance or even just recreate some of those other positive memories that you've had in the past. So regardless of where you currently are, whether you can look at your life and say, I could probably do a little bit better in this area, or if you look at your life and say, I'm pretty good in this area, this content will either help you to improve or help to reinforce the idea that the way you're taking care of yourself is important and it really does matter. Surround yourself with playful people because negativity really does breed negativity. A positive environment really does support your sense of play. And then the last tip that Stuart Brown has shown through his research is beneficial is playing with little ones or pets. If you have kids, if you have pets, the best kind of play is often seen through the eyes of your kids or through your pets. And this is because you can see the world through their perspective and you're able to see a purer form of play. As adults, our play kind of gets muddied with our adultness. But when you're looking at kids, when you're looking at pets play, it's a purer form of play. And being able to connect with that helps you as an adult to reconnect with that idea of playing for the sake of playing and just having that connection to leisure and fun. So that's the last tip he gives on if this is an area, again, that you feel like you want to give some thought to. As you go through your reading, we've briefly touched on most of the topics, but as you go through your reading, there'll be more detailed information and more detailed suggestions on how you can apply some of this stuff to your life. and make certain changes if you feel the need to do that. All right, so let me look at some of the comments here in the chat box. The chat box goes by kind of fast, so sometimes I miss some of the things that you guys are saying. All right, Natalie says, so why do so many people think work is hell? And then Joseph responded, it is unless you love your job. That is very true. I'm hoping that for most of you guys that you're pursuing these degree programs because you intend to do work that you love and that you're passionate about. And then it won't feel like hell and it won't feel like work. All right, I don't see any other questions or comments. All right, so just as a brief recap of what we've gone over in this week 1 session of Psychology of Play, we looked at the formal definition of play or the qualities of play. Those were things like freedom from time, voluntary, improvisational potential. We also reviewed the play personalities, and those are the 8 play personalities that included things like the artist creator, the storyteller, the director, and those are the categories and typically how we play. We looked at different ways on how we can increase play in our lives, and then we looked at the idea of a play history, which we'll talk a little bit more about as we go over the week 1 assignment. The big things that I want you guys to kind of take away from this initial session. I'm sorry, I was reading a comment in the chat box and I got distracted. But the initial thing that I want you guys to take away is that this particular month, it should be fun. We are presenting concepts that we want you guys to engage with at a college level. We are expecting college level work out of you guys, but this month should be fun. This week should be fun. This content should be fun. If you're not having fun, something is going wrong in this particular month. We're expecting you to put some effort into your work, but the real work really comes about when you are applying this information to your life and reflecting on your own personal life. The concepts that we present to you guys are going to be really attainable. They're not going to be super hard and difficult and I'm so lost, I don't understand it. It shouldn't feel like that. The hard part comes about where you take that effort to really apply this content to your life and hopefully get something out of the course that you can carry with you as you move forward. So it should be a good, fun, happy month. All right, so I have a couple hands up in the chat box. Let's see here. I'm sorry, I might pronounce your name wrong. Orlantes, I think. All right, you say the examples provided on the assignment, is that the way you want the assignment presented? So there are assignment examples that are presented on the community discussion board. Let me show you guys where those are. If I can get out of this slide. Those are just examples, just as showing you what some students have done in the past. And it's just really to give you some inspiration on moving forward. So when you guys log on to the LMS, regardless of what section you are in, there's a community discussion board right here. When you click on that, you'll see some examples posted on the discussion board. All right, I'm going to go over the assignment. And then if you guys have any additional questions about the assignment, then I'll be happy to answer them for you. All right, if you guys feel you're good and you don't want to stay and listen to me go over the assignment, you are free to go. That's all the content that we'll be going over for tonight. So the rest of the session will just be going over the week 1 project, but there'll be no additional content presented. All right, so for the week 1 project, it is 3 pages. The first page is your introduction. Please read it. It sets up the assignment. It gives you your objectives. The last page is FAQs for common questions. If you have questions, start here, but if you're still stuck, please reach out to your individual instructor and we'll be happy to assist you. So what you're going to be doing for your week 1 assignment is creating a play history. And again, a play history is a review of how play has been a part of your life in the past, in the present, and we're going to also reflect on the future. So the first thing that we'd like you to do for question 1 is to think back to the past and describe your favorite childhood activity. We'd like you to provide some sort of image to illustrate what this activity, represents for you. And then kind of do some self-reflection. Why were you drawn to this activity? What impact did this activity have on your development? We're looking for a response that should be 1 to 2 paragraphs. Again, you are talking about yourself, so you should be able to come up with 1 to 2 paragraphs about your past. And for this one, for favorite childhood activity, some students will say, I don't remember what I liked to do when I was 5 or when I was 6. You can talk about what you like to do as a teenager as well. It's just reflecting on the past. For question 2, you're going to pick 2 of the qualities of play to explain. We want you to explain each of the quality in detail, giving some sort of example to support your thoughts. So what activities do you engage in that have a strong connection to those qualities of play? And again, we're looking for a response that should be about 2 paragraphs. So that's about a paragraph for each quality of play. An example for this one. So one of the qualities of play is freedom from time. Freedom from time is when you're so engaged or in a particular activity that you lose sense of time. So that was my definition or explanation of the activity. And an example of when I experience freedom from time is when I am hanging out with my family and we like to go bowling. And when we're bowling, we can play for hours and hours, and it seems like it was just, 30 minutes. That is my example that shows that I clearly understand this concept of freedom from time. So that's what your question 2 response would look like. Hopefully in a lot more detail, but that's what we're looking for. Question 3 refers to your play personalities. So you're going to decide on the 2 play personalities that you feel that you possess, the dominant 2. Again, give a detailed discussion showing your understanding of what that play personality means. And then you're going to discuss any connections that you can make between the play personality and your favorite childhood activity. So you're going to reflect to the past. Do you see any connection? Is there no connection? Normally, there would be some connection to your favorite childhood activity. But then you're also going to look to the present. So how are these play personalities reflected in your life today? And we're also asking you to provide some sort of image to illustrate your understanding of this concept. So for question 1, we're really asking you to focus back to the past. Question 2 and 3 are primarily focused on the present in terms of what play looks like in your life. For question 4, we're asking you to reflect into the future. So you're going to imagine that you're receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award for your particular industry. So pick an award or something that makes sense for you. You're going to discuss how your play history has led you to this point. And we really want you to make direct connections between the things that you have done in the past, the things that you are doing in the present that feel like play to you, and your future success. So how is your play going to get you to that place where you are successful in achieving this lifetime award? We are looking for this response to be a little bit more detailed because this is really the foundation of the course. This idea that incorporating play and leisure into your life has a direct connection to your future success. So we're looking for a little bit more detail, 2 to 3 paragraphs in this particular response. The thing to remember for this assignment and for all of your assignments, you are literally writing about yourself. Yeah, you are taking some of the concepts that we presented, but the entire assignment is really about doing self-reflection and applying this to your life. So it shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be super difficult. It may take some time, and I really encourage students, don't wait till Sunday to work on your assignment. break the assignment down, answer maybe one question each day so you are really, engaged and have the energy to put a lot of thought into that particular question. But just break the assignment down over the week, and normally you end up with a better end result. All right, I think I saw a question in the chat box. Yes, it is okay to include pictures and images with your assignment. It's actually required for question 1 and for question 3. We would like you guys to complete the project in a form of a slide presentation. So Google Slides, PowerPoint, Keynote, that sort of thing. However, if you really have strong opinions and there's something else you want to do to complete your assignment, please reach out to your individual instructor and we'll work with you. We'll figure out a way for you to get your assignment done as best you can. But if you can, we want you guys to try to do a slide presentation. All right, so that is your week 1 assignment. And again, there are examples posted, so please look at the assignment examples before you submit your assignment. All right, I see some hands up in the chat box. I don't know if these are old hands up or if you guys have questions, but Joseph, you have your hand up. So I'm gonna, okay. That hand went away. Orlantes, you still have your hand up. Do you have a question? Are you there?
Yes, hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Going well. I need to find out if the two qualities of plate number 2 and 3, that's 2 paragraphs for each one, correct? And we just explaining, we just picking out the different types that relates to us. Is that correct?
That is correct. So for question 2, you're choosing 2 other qualities of play, and your entire answer should be about 2 paragraphs. So that's a paragraph for each of the qualities of play. And the same thing applies for question 3.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I don't see any other questions and I don't see any other hands up in the chat box. Wait, I think Joseph, your hand went back up. Joseph, you there? No problem.
All right, I'm here. Yeah, I'd like to know if I could do a video presentation of the day of my life tomorrow as at work as Batman.
Sure, you can do a video presentation. That's fine with me. Do you know if you're in my section or Naisha's section?
I'm in your section, I believe. Wait a minute. I'll look on the actual pages. Let's see, 1 second. Why isn't it? 1 second.
All right.
It's not open. Why is everything not opening now?
I don't know.
1 second.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. I'm sorry. Because the class just started, I don't have all the names memorized, but I could tell you real quick. I'm looking. All right, you're not in my section 1. Let's look in section 2. Edmund. I think you might be in Naisha Acevedo's section.
Yup, I'm in Naisha's, yeah.
Okay, so I'm assuming she's going to say yes, but I don't want to speak for her. So just reach out to her. And I'm assuming like as long as you answer the questions and, present the content, that a video presentation would be fine. But just reach out to her individually and just make sure she's cool with it.
All right, I'll do that right away.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
right, I don't have any other questions. So you guys are free to go. And again, have fun, break the assignment down, start working on it day by day, and then you'll end up with a great final result by the weekend. You guys have a good evening, and we will see you next week.